In Volume 4 of our special fall series for 2019, we will be taking a look at a massive railroad built by the Allegheny Railroad. The Allegheny and West Virginia Railroad is the famous railroad company in the world, also embarked as the AWVR. In this scene, the AWVR is a historic, more modern railroad that was filmed by the movie Unstoppable in 2008. In 2009, the Norfolk Southern Operation Lifesaver GP38-2 sent out an Unstoppable train to the Wheeling, Ohio area for the last filming before the AWVR SD40-2s later became the paint scheme of the original Wheeling and Lake Erie short line railroad. It's late in the morning of October 14, 2019, and an AWVR manifest stopped at the control point signal to allow the crew swap to line the tracks for where the containers on the rear of the train will be shipped out to the yard. So here, let me show you where the end of the train is. See that? These are the containers placed on the rear. They were originally shipped by train out of Coal City, Illinois, and later moved back to Hapers, West Virginia for a drop-off. When the movie Unstoppable finished, the AWVR in Ohio was filmed only in central Pennsylvania on originally the WNYP in 2008, and later in Ohio and the Wheeling, Ohio area, the AWVR soon became the Wheeling and Lake Erie. In my own Trainz Driver 2 routes, however, I'll be using my own A&WVR railroad to operate trains without filming the movie Unstoppable. So, here's the basics in rails. See those best friends placed on the front of that AWVR Q693 manifest? These are AWVR T10 locomotives number 510 and 511. And if you zoom in closer, look what's trailing third in the codpiece. A giant. It was Union Pacific EMD SC70M 4623, having been delivered by the AWVR shortly in the video. The steam locomotive is what will cut off from another city shuttle excursion and will couple on to the remaining freight that the AWVR has to deliver. Moving down to the south yard of the AWVR in Hapers, West Virginia, this is the steam locomotive that will be taking the rear section of its containers. As the Q693 Allegheny and West Virginia Railroad freight train slowly approaches the yard, we watch it round a couple of switches. The two T10s are already arriving at the same yard. The two cab locomotives will cut off from the train, run around, then have the other leader to couple on to the rear half. Back in Union Pacific days, the Union Pacific trains haul freight across all over the Allegheny and West Virginia Railroad until December 31st, 2016. When already going into 2017, the Union Pacific grain, intermodal, coal, manifest, and others stopped running the AWVR. It is short for the Allegheny and West Virginia Railroad. We could see the Q693 already approaching the yard. So, as you can see in the video, I am going to set the speed limit to 0, and the train stops shortly where it will shove down to track 4 and then drop it off and let the steam locomotive couple in. A&WVR number 741 is a 060 type steam locomotive that was built by the Ball Locomotive Works in 1958. When the diesel locomotive service began, steam locomotives weren't usually ended, but the last steam locomotive to be built on a railroad was the AWVR number 741. In 1960, it was retired. Until 1969, the steam locomotive was donated to the Shenandoah Junction Railroad Museum in Shenandoah Junction, West Virginia. In 1985, the Allegheny and West Virginia Railroad acquired number 741 and restored it to operating condition. When returning to steam in 2004, the steam locomotive was tested on the GE test track in Erie, PA. Once after being restored to operating condition again, just like the A&W 611 seen a little earlier in 2015. In 2007, the 741 went to the Pacific Northwest along with the CC&C number 15, which also met the Southern Pacific GS4 484 Daylight 4449 and the UPFEF3 steam locomotive number 844. And as we set the speed limit to 40, the Q693 reverses direction into the yard once again, and up to 10 containers on this train can be stored. Number 741, the OK1 Class 060 steam locomotive will then decouple its excursion, couple onto the rear, and take them to East Pinewood Yard. This is the AWVR Shenandoah subdivision, which is my favorite short line on the best. It's the last one. Then watch what happens when the train throttles and leaves. That was a quick uncouple of those containers that number 741 will have to couple and take them to Pinewood before letting the leader stay in the tunnel for many hours. The light switcher then backs its light engine down to the rear section, of which Q693 has already dropped off at the south yard. 741 later became the AWVR number 2202 in 2018. When Union Pacific stopped running their trains on the AWVR in New Year's Eve 2016, the AWVR 741 was split in front of the factory siding. It later became number 2202, a light switcher, in 2018. We are now set up at the Cherry Trestle Bridge, where we see number 2202 crossing over the Blue Mountains, where it will finally arrive in Pinewood Yard. I'll be doing the steam whistle several times. The steam giant comes. The locomotive is then seen entering the Pinewood Tunnel, where it will be shoving its train into the yard. Already stalling up the hill, do you remember when 2202 was originally 741 when Union Pacific stopped working in late December 2016? Well, here's the idea. This was not originally the point, but 741, however, changed its home when being moved by AWVR locomotives. Putting the speed limit to 0, the train stalled up on Pinewood Summit. In addition, after another short run around the Pinewood Yard, far away from the South Yard in Haber, West Virginia, and between Pinewood, West Virginia, number 2202 is seen here running long forward into the Pinewood siding, where it will meet the AWVR 510 lead diesel locomotive hauling number Q693 into the South Yard. We'll watch as I put the speed limit to 0 as we watch number 2202, or formerly number 741, roll into the siding. Number 510 is cut off from the head end of Q693 and now diverges onto the Pinewood line to pick up the empty containers, while the 3 blue containers are shipped by number 2202, an OK1 Class 060. Number 510 can be seen quickly rounding the corner around number 2202 and into Pinewood Yard. .510 pulls this cut of containers out of Pinewood and brings them back to the Piners Grove coal field. With the intention of switching the city shuttle double-decker excursions steam locomotives to 3 after the OK1 class number 2202 using freight for power, 510 quickly pushes the freight down to the coal field. Number 510 is cut away from its train and proceeds back to the head end of its Q693 to proceed on to Roanoke, Virginia. And speaking of two cab locomotives, do you think the AWVR ordered two cab T10 diesel locomotives in October 2019? Add to that, number 2202 then leaves the siding with its 3 blue containers and moves on to the subdivision where it will be dropping off its blue container livery at the old station, now used by the A&WVR. It's not every day you see a steam locomotive out on the main line today. Profits from seeing a train on rail stream in the late night, afternoon, but during early morning at 4 a.m.? That can't exist. Trains are all done, but look here. There's a train still running by, even though I didn't include the locomotives. But still busy railfanning the Allegheny and West Virginia Railroad anyway. But that's fine. Oh well. There was a no trespassing sign at the speed of this station, but 2202 is dropping off its blue containers and heading back home. And there dropped off its entire blue livery of containers at the freight station. And with that, train Q693 finally throttles back on the move. As 2202 retired in its hometown, the Q693 of the AWVR throttles out of the siding and returns to the tunnel. Proceeding the train at max speed so that it can enter the tunnel safely with its foreign Union Pacific visitor. Not often does a Union Pacific SD70M EMD locomotive end up on the Aberdeen, Carolina and Western, or sometimes the A&WVR Railroad. The next train to show up on the AWVR on the 15th was another eastbound manifest, which had two ex-Santa Fe fake bonnet -944 CWs leading an SD40-2 plus a CSX visitor, another Union Pacific visitor, and plus an ex-Burlington Northern Cascade Green visitor. The final train we witnessed was an empty coal train which had the red AWVR ES44AC leading a Milwaukee Road switcher. Thank you for watching Christopoulos Railfan Productions. If you like this video, please be sure to like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, and see daily photos, videos, trivia, news, trains, and others that I posted. In addition, a new video also visits the YouTube channel right here every late week. Thank you for watching Chris Storm, Railfan Productions. In addition, Volume 5, Here We Come, for this fall special series of 2019. This is Thomas De Silva from Chris Storm, signing off for now, and see you soon.